Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 11 of the Centre Circle podcast, the new home of West Midlands football. I'm your host, Dale Nichols, and joining me today, we've got regular contributors Sam, Alex, and Drew. They're here to help me dissect the weekend's action. How's it going, gents?
Good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
All good.
Well, coming up on today's show, as always, we'll be reviewing the team's results and performances from the weekend. A lacklustre Blues showing in a 1-0 defeat at Oakwell. Albion revert to type in a drab 0-0 draw in a stinker at home against the Magpies in a shit or bus contest. And Villa clinged on like a parasite looking for its last feed at home to Wolves. Later on, we'll also be discussing the greatest Premier League champions given their seasonal accomplishments and the league's most underrated player. So let's kick it straight off and head to Oakwell. Birmingham, another defeat, 13 points at your last 51 available. How's Karanka still in the job?
I think we cited this, mate. I think we cited this as being a game that I didn't think that Blues would win. Mate, Barnsley are playing very well at the minute.
Yeah, they're banging form. And first half, I think we matched them. It was a scrappy game, and I was surprised because I thought Barnsley were going to be better than they were. And at half time, I was thinking we could have these. And then second half, it was so bad. Back to the same old Blues, just crap.
What do you think that? What do you think that's? What do you think's caused that though? Then trick? Because
I don't know. I don't know. It just sometimes you just don't turn up, do you? Everyone has bad games, and I suppose it's one of them. It could be. I don't want to keep blaming Karanka, but he changed tactics again. He changed formation. We were on a good form, and then he flipped the formation. And I wanted to let him off at the start of the game because I thought we're against Barnsley, so he went to 5 at the back again. And he played Juki and Hogan up front, but he didn't play any wingers. So all our creative players weren't on the pitch. And I was thinking, I kind of want to cut him some slack. And I thought, I'll see how it goes before I judge him. But looking at after the game, he didn't bring Halilovic on, who's shown that he can create things from nothing last week. Just left him on the bench. He went 1-0 down. Bring Halilovic on, and he just didn't. So I sound like a broken record, but it's just the same, really. He's not making the right changes. He's not choosing the right team.
It's crazy, really. And then because you look at Barnsley, no way are they a better team than you in terms of the personnel anyway. But you could say that, that happens quite often. But I don't know. It just shows you the difference that, a decent bit of management can do. And I think it all comes back down to, the atmosphere at the club maybe as well. Didn't they survive quite late last season? They come back onto the season, feeling good about themselves. Bit of positive mentality there. It just shows you how much that can do around the club. Because I get the impression at Blues at the moment it's pretty doom and gloom, if I'm honest, and that's got to have an effect on the players. That has.
Do you think that's a similar sort of thing to West Ham? That they kind of went on a bit of a surge at the end of last season. They just took that form into this year, really. I mean, they look unbelievable.
The big thing about West Ham is they don't play in front of the fans. I think as soon as they go and play in front of their fans again next season, they go back to normal because the fans' expectations are too high at West Ham, and the players have been able to play with freedom and not the fear of getting booed every time they do something wrong.
I think momentum's everything, like you say. I think the season before Leicester won the title, they come from bottom of the league pretty much and just carried on a winning momentum through to the season after, ended up winning a title unbelievably. But coming back onto Blues
that's
anyway,
arguably one of the best great escapes. That's arguably one of Leicester's best great escapes for me. I would
13 points out of 51 available. That's terrible form. That is. There's a couple of members on this pod have sat there and quite maybe even call it naively have said you're too good to go down. But 13 points out of 51 to me suggesting otherwise.
Too good to go down. That's what. No one can be too good to go down. Look at the teams that have gone down from when Wolves went down. Straight from the Premier League.
50 odd points as well. Well into the 50s points-wise we were that season.
Yeah.
We came 23rd as well.
Again, Villa kept on saying it though. Villa said it for about 4 years. We're too big to go down, and we got caught in it big time.
Yeah. You look at the leagues now, and then those game in hands, the 3 games down that Rotherham have got on us now, look even more worrying because they won the weekend in there. They've got Coventry next, who are above us 3 points. So, and I looked at the fixtures, and every team from the bottom has to play each other. We even have to play Rotherham. and it's just worrying. It's getting more worrying. Like, we've had a good spell, but we're still not out of it. Like, you know, you have a good spell, you expect to get out of it. Is that good spell over now? Are we going to start slipping again? And I still think we're going to go down.
Can't discount Sheffield Wednesday at the moment, can you, as well, with Darren Moore coming in as manager? He's going to give him a lift. Like,
galvanised. And if that has a positive effect, though, but you say that he's only he's had one game or 2 games.
He's had
against,
2, and they've both
Rotherham.
but two games. He's had 2 red cards.
Sheffield Wednesday are gone, man. They're gone.
I don't know, man.
The club's rotten.
I still think there's something to be said there as well.
At least it's in your own destiny. That's one thing, isn't it? Oh, I don't know. Actually, it might not be if Rotherham win the games in hand.
That's it.
It's out of our hands.
I think if it was a level playing field and you were sat like this, but you still had to play Rotherham, then fair enough. It's in your hands. But it is just a case of, you know, if Rotherham are playing mid-table teams that just can't do anything upwards and can't do anything downwards, are they going to try out youth players, and do they pick up points? That, you know, stuff like that comes into it. Because I remember I was looking at that last season with Villa when I remember citing Everton as one of the games I thought would win because they just had nothing to play for, and you know, we did get a result, but you know, stuff like that does come into it at the end of the season.
I think Rotherham have got more, I would say more fight than us, but like Sam said, we've got a better team than Rotherham and Barnsley and Coventry and the teams are around us. But like you say, you can never be too big to go down. And I feel like with Rotherham, if they need a result, they'll go and get one. They'll go and get a result, whereas we won't. They have more about them. And I think when we play them, that could be massive. That could be an absolute massive game. That could.
I think you'll stay up though. I think you'll dig some results out of somewhere. Like you very rarely get hammered, do you? Really, I don't think.
Well, yeah. I suppose.
But again, neither do like people like Coventry. They always seem to be in the game to a certain degree. Like they'll always get a goal. It'll be tough. It'll be exciting down the bottom.
Not for me.
Again.
I'm sick of it now. Sick of the excitement.
Well, talking of excitement, let's go to the Hawthorns. 0-0. Magpies at home, and it was an absolute stinker, weren't it? A must win if any glimmer of hope was to be retained. And to be honest, performance level, it wasn't anywhere near the week before against Brighton. I actually think that Newcastle were marginally the better side, but it was 2 very poor teams for me.
I'd agree with that. I'd probably say we were slightly better team actually than Newcastle, but I think it just showed the lack of quality in the squad. If we bring some, like, he didn't make a substitute to 80 minutes. And then by that point, Diagne was absolutely knackered. And you can blame the Thursday game we won against Everton. But really, it's the Premier League and teams should be used to playing twice in a week, 3 times in 10 days or 7 days or whatever it is. It was just a real lack of quality. We brought Robson-Kanu off the bench. And if you want a goal, like, Robson-Kanu's fine. He's an average footballer. But if you want a goal, you can't bring Hal Robson-Kanu on. He's not a goal scorer. I just thought it was a shocking game. We had a few chances. They had a few chances, to be fair. But I was just really disappointed that we didn't go into that game and chuck it all at it. Even if we get beat, a draw is nothing to us. Just go out there, even at the end, like they were taking time over free kicks and stuff. I want Sam Johnston going in that box to try and head the ball in. Like, we're down now. Like, that result does so much more for Newcastle than it does for us. It helps Fulham out because, you know, Newcastle are really in trouble now, but they're really in trouble because Fulham look like they might get out of it. I was really disappointed. You know, you can't really fault the team too much. They look knackered, to be honest. But I'd just like to. We just didn't have any options. I don't know what he could have done differently. We just didn't look like scoring, and nor did Newcastle, to be honest. That game could have gone on for 10 games. It still would have been 0-0. But what worries me is that was an understrength Newcastle team that's kind of rotten to the core at the minute as well. They hate Mike Ashley. They hate Steve Bruce. You know, they've got no Callum Wilson, no Alan Saint-Maximin, and we still couldn't beat them.
I said last week that they'll just somehow pick up points. Newcastle, everyone's like saying they won't win another game, they won't even get another point. They will pick up points just from somewhere. It's just the way. I
think my concern is I'd look at that team and I've called it from the very beginning that Fulham have too much about them, and I just think that they were always going to string results together. They'll get enough points on the board. Who's going to suffer off the back of it? I don't know. you can discount West Brom and Sheffield United. They're gone. The third team, I've always had a feeling that Brighton are just such a poor side. They're such a poor side, and people think because they play, this fancy style of football, but they just don't really get that many results. They've stunk themselves out for season after season, hanging around down there, and slowly but surely it'll just give. Villa were doing it for years, hanging around 15th, 16th, and eventually something gave. Bournemouth were doing the same. And I just think that Brighton will fall into that mould now as well.
Yeah, I think as well, they've just heard that Tariq Lamptey's out for the rest of the season as well. So that's probably their bright spark, really, isn't he? Like, he was kind of the one that was getting forward and, I don't know, being a bit positive in that team, really. And I don't know. I mean, I think Villa got caught in the same trap as West Brom last week when I sort of said about Sheffield United. It was always going to be an attack versus defence. I don't think Newcastle would have scored at all. So you might as well throw out everything at it. Like you say, it was more than a 6 point. And I was stupid enough to say last week, I think you'd stay up based on the fact that you'd beat Newcastle. But that was a chance.
Players, though. We ain't got the players to throw at
You've got the players to beat Newcastle, Sam.
I don't think we have. We've just showed you that we haven't. We couldn't beat a Newcastle team that was out Callum Wilson, Allen Maximum. I don't think we have got the players.
I'll just say, that's why last week I was confused as to where there seems to be loads of positivity, especially on this podcast, about Albion, and even like outside of this in real life. I was saying to people, why is everyone like bumming Albion all of a sudden? Why do they think they're going to get out of it? Like, nothing's changed, and we spoke about it in our group chat, and I was looking at your results that you've had, and I thought, you haven't really picked up any points.
I think the thing that's changed is we don't get beat as often, or we don't get hammered as often. Like, that much is true. We don't. We rarely get hammered now, to be honest. But
I think when you're in that position, though, not getting hammered is not.
Well, I'd rather that 0-0 than 5-1 or whatever it is every week. I mean, it speaks volumes that our man of the match and the man of the match for Sky was Okay Yekuzlu again.
Sometimes, though, I've got a question for you. Would you rather go out attacking and lose 4-3 against Newcastle than just be a drab 0-0 and not really try? Because it doesn't matter. A draw does nothing. You can set up a bit more attacking, can't you?
But we ain't got the players that'll stick the ball in the back of the net. Like, I like Diagne, but we can tell he's not really a goal scorer. He holds the ball up fantastically, but he's had so many chances to score now. He should have scored another one in the United game. He should have scored in the Burnley game. He should have scored in the Brighton game.
Everton. I mean, it's a fantastic save, but it's a goal, really.
Should have scored it, though, shouldn't he? He should have scored. I like Diagne, but lack of quality was there for all to see. Newcastle team with its legs in the air there for taking, and we couldn't beat them. So that sums our season up. It's got better, but it's, I fully accept the fact we're down, but it'd be interesting to see who goes down with us now.
Yeah, I think my positivity around you was kind of the fact that you'd gone to a Man U side that I think, again, got written off, picked a result up. You'd gone and I think you got another draw, then you beat Brighton, and I just thought the momentum was more with you to go and beat Newcastle. You cut that gap to 6 points, and we're saying that now, like, Newcastle are above Brighton. So like Dale said, he thinks that's a team going to get dragged in. I still think Newcastle go. So why can't two still go? I mean, I genuinely don't see Newcastle winning again, but I think after what I've saw, like Trig says, they potentially could get enough draws just to kind of sit, maybe 3 more draws and they're up. Do you know what I mean?
You just say you think Albion can still get out of it?
No, I said if they could have beat Newcastle and that would have put them to 6 points, why couldn't they have? Because Villa had like 6 games left and 5 points adrift. So there's not. I know there was a bit more quality in the Villa team last season. However, I think Newcastle are one of the worst teams I've seen this season.
I don't actually think Newcastle are that bad. I just think the club's rotten. Like, I think I think the squad's not actually that bad when you look at it on paper. I actually don't think it is. Like, Callum Wilson's an unbelievable player. I think most teams outside the top 6 would take Callum Wilson. Same with Allen and
Max as well, yeah.
But outside of those 2 players, they haven't really got like a continual spine. It's a change every week.
I like Lascelles. I think Lascelles is a top.
Oh, he
Go
is. But
Shelby.
why hasn't he ever had
Shelby
interest
is
from somewhere?
unbelievable, by the way. I don't know how he's not.
But it's all about attitude. He's obviously got a bad attitude, and you've got a collective a bunch of players that are clearly not like. I think it was like about 6 months ago that Lascelles came on and he had his hand wrapped up because he'd split a fight up on the training ground. Now I know that happens in football. I do. I'm not stupid, but it always just seems to be a lot of publicity around the attitude of Newcastle. After seeing what Fraser did to Bournemouth, the last player I would have wanted at Villa would have been him. Do you know what I mean? That is a sort of attitude that Newcastle are bringing into the club. And,
do you not think Newcastle overachieve? You look at their net spend, Newcastle, they don't spend money. It's well known they don't spend money.
Joe Linton cost them 42 million.
But if you look at their net spend, Mike Ashley just takes all the money out of that club and will not really spend money.
I do get that to a certain degree, but I don't know. I know that they're a one city club, and I do think that they are a bit kind of big. They expect more than what they should be getting. But I actually don't think their expectations are that high anymore. I think they just expect to be compete in the Premier League, which I don't think is out of their reach, really. For a club their size and structure, they should be doing that year in, year out. But every year, it's like, will Newcastle go this year?
They still think they're a big club, don't they? I think the fans think that they deserve top six, and it's unrealistic. They need to just get realistic. They're not.
That's all. We'd hate Mike Ashley. Any one of us, we'd hate Mike Ashley as the owner. And that's where it all stems from.
I'd take him.
I think you would.
I think as well, though, Trig, we had this conversation, both obviously having teams that were run by Steve Bruce as well, that I can't remember a period in Villa's history, in my era, that we suffered so many injuries. And I think Trigg said the same thing. And look at Newcastle now. The players that have come out have said literally, his training's under 13s. He don't even turn up to half the sessions. He just kind of lets everyone else get on with it. And there's constant injuries.
Yeah.
Surely that's not a coincidence.
I personally don't think Newcastle will go down. Sticking to my guns, West Brom, Sheffield United, Brighton.
Okay.
Okay, then.
I think Fulham will still go down.
You still think Fulham?
Yeah, I do.
I mean, it's not a bad shout. I mean, they've got the run up.
I looked at their fixtures. I mean, obviously
they played Newcastle last game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's massive.
That's one of them where you could see Newcastle getting a result, though, and it to keep.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know what? I actually don't think that they'll need it. I think Fulham will be safe by then.
So do I.
No. That's a big call, that is.
God.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I do.
I think Fulham have got way more quality than Newcastle.
Have you had a look at their fixtures? Obviously, with the Liverpool, this point would have made more sense yesterday before they beat Liverpool. But their fixtures coming up, I think the next three fixtures were Liverpool, City, and Spurs, who are now in form.
Yeah.
And I think even after that, and I was looking at the fixtures going, everyone's raving about Fulham, but if you look at these fixtures.
Yeah, but again, you look at last weekend or in the week or whenever they played them, based on, and we've all had one, I get it, but that VAR of where the ball's been hit and his arm's literally right by his side, they'd be they would be above Newcastle now. Brighton would be in it. Newcastle.
Yeah, it's ifs and buts though, isn't it? I know.
Yeah, it is, but that's Tottenham and Liverpool that they've competed against. So they can, for me, I don't think it'll go down to the last day. I think Newcastle will be gone by then.
I think last day. I think it's going to be exciting between three teams.
I hope so.
Hopefully, yeah.
I love them last days where the screen keeps getting split.
Yeah. Okay, then. So moving on to obviously, the big Midlands derby of the weekend: Aston Villa 0, Wolves 0. I think straight away, first thing, I'd like to get a neutral perspective on this one. Then, so what did you think about the game, then, guys?
Go on, Trig.
Shit, mate.
Yeah, it was.
No, that's it, really.
Yeah, it was.
I think Wolves were the better team. I do. I think first, it was a game of two halves. I think you both said this. I think it was a game of two halves. I think Wolves were a slightly better team, but it was boring again, wasn't it, for a neutral? Like, you're thinking derby and people big it up. It was just another boring game where people were scared to attack. Like, there was
not a derby, though, was it?
But I called it on the last podcast, didn't I? I said it would be a boring 0-0 draw. I've said it all week. It was just, personally, I think it was a better point for Villa than it was Wolves. you know, personally, because it keeps us 3 points above Arsenal, people below us, with 2 games in hand. I think if we would have finished stronger, if we'd have had the better of the second half, people would have said Villa played better than Wolves. I think it's a toss-up. I think we absolutely smashed them in the first half, and I think Wolves absolutely smashed us in the second. I think as much as Wolves' chances, you know, should have gone in, so should probably 2 or 3 of Villa's. You know, on a different day, you know, if it would have fell to a different player other than centre halves, I think it could have been 3-3, 4-4. It was honestly one of them games. But I mean, yeah, like you say, it just looked like 2 teams who just didn't want to lose. There wasn't enough want to go and win a game. You know, I think in the first 10 minutes, I saw El Mohammadi win a header, and it was going out for a throw, and he beat Adama to a race to keep it in. And I just thought that just set the tone for me. There's no want in Wolves, and there's no want in Villa to win the game. They just don't want to lose. And, you know, I get it. Like, it's a local derby. And there's a bit on stake, I guess. But that's what Villa are like at the minute. You know, we're hard to watch at the minute until, you know, fingers crossed, there's a lot of positivity around Jack and Cash being back for Newcastle. I can't wait. I just cannot wait. I can't believe that 2 players can make such a difference. Well, I can, but 2 players can make such a difference to our team. But I did think the positives for us, that was Sanson. When he came off, I thought that's when we started looking poor. I think probably the most balanced our midfield looked for a long time.
Well, one thing I'm thinking about this game is this big, massive juggernaut, this big Aston Villa machine that's been steaming. It's been in 6th gear all season. We're going to flatten everybody down. We've got the title charge on. The fans have been up in arms. If this is the best that they come up with, and this is the worst that we've been in 3 seasons, then I don't think we've got anything to worry about moving forward at all. They're going to be stuck in mid-table rubbish under Dean forever as Dean Smith is at that helm. He will never progress them into the top half of the table. He's not a good enough manager. Look what he's done. 75 million, 80 million, depending on what source you look at, he's spent in the summer, and look what they're coming up with now. The 26 games they've played this season, their biggest win streak is 2. They've never won more than 2 games back to back. They're a shocking side. If that's the best that they can come up with,
that's a lie.
If that's the best that they can come up with.
We won our first 3 games of the season.
Who was that against?
Actually, we won our first 4 games of the season. We won Fulham, Sheffield United, Fulham, Liverpool, Leicester.
Other than that, then I'll take that back. Then in the previous,
other than beating the reigning champions and the current 3rd place in the Premier League, if that's the best
and that was when the title charge was all happening. In the games since then, you've not put more than 2 wins together. Everyone, all the fans everywhere, they've been absolutely pathetic. The weekend,
I think you might need to come off our Twitter, mate.
The weekend, you got played off the park that second half. Absolutely bullied. You're talking about no passion in your players, mate. I'd be screaming at the TV if I was you. You've got everything to play for. You've got a potential European place at the helm, and Dean Smith's there twiddling his thumbs, having the banter on the touchline with John Terry. It's disgusting. I'd be calling for his head, I would. Dean Smith needs sacking. I'm telling you now. He needs sacking. It's absolutely scandalous. Scrape relegation. No, scrape relegation last year by default. You had a life and death playoff victory and a Mickey Mouse Cup final appearance. Right. You're saying that there's this big 4, 5 years, 6, 7 year plan at the Villa. I'll tell you what, we're a much better run club than what you are. Much better. Our trajectory is like that. We pitched the championship rather than scraping a playoff life and death. We've gone up and we secured 2 7th place finishes. A 7th place finish that Villa won't be seen at least in the next 3 or 4 years. How could you spend 80 million in the summer and be turning in performances like that?
I know, you're right.
I just can't get my head around it. I think Smith has lost the plot. He's took that club as far as he possibly can, and he should be pushed out that door this summer.
Okay.
I think, fucking hell, you've
got yourself worked up over the little old Villa, ain't you, mate?
What I'm going to say is, I don't know. I don't really know what to say to that.
I think it's a bizarre thing. You're saying your trajectory is going that way, but you're clearly not. You've not progressed.
I suppose if Dale wants Nuno out, then it's got to be the same reason why he'd say Dean Smith out for Villa, because he's not going to take you any further.
We spent £2 million last summer. Net. We spent 2 million. Villa spent 74.
Yeah, because we needed to.
And you look at them two teams on that pitch on Saturday.
Mate, can I just tell you something? We've gone from scraping up from relegation to taking 4 points off you this season. So you're telling me your trajectory is like this and your club, mate, all you've done all season. Hold on. All you've done all season is cry about how badly you're playing. You cried about how the final straw for you was not trying to progress in the Mickey Mouse Cup. So what? I don't get what your points are.
The Mickey Mouse Cup was Carling Cup.
Yeah, but you got yourself worked up over a little old Villa. I don't understand what your issue is. Like, Villa are more than happy with the progression that we've seen this season. We've stayed up by our fingernails, and then we've now in the top half finish, with 2 games in hand, above people like Arsenal, above teams like big old Wolves, who are on a much bigger trajectory than ourselves. Like,
absolutely are.
I understand.
Absolutely are.
Oh, absolutely brilliant. But I mean, from our point of view, like, I actually think that the point suited us more than it did suit you. You need to push on because you've got players like Jimenez and you've got players like Jota. Do you think he's going to be happy finishing 12th and 13th this season?
It's Jack Grealish, though.
Yeah, but this is what I'm trying to say. Like, with Wolves, they've proved they'll sell at peanuts. Villa won't. I'm telling you now, if Liverpool put in, or Man City put in 45 million for Neto in the summer, he's gone.
No chance. Oh my life. That's horrendous. George Mendes is going to ruin your club, mate. And it's 45 million for Neto. Oh, come off it, man. That's absolutely outrageous, that is. I'm sorry, but that's a ridiculous statement, that is.
Well, why is it ridiculous? Because I tell you now, because if Jota played for Villa and someone come in for 40 million for him, he wouldn't be going for 40 million, mate. I can tell you that for a fact. And with the greatest respect to you, mate, George Mendes, who has been, the forthcoming of God to you lot, mate, he's going to ruin your club.
I think when you've spent £80 million or 75, whatever you look at, right? When you spent that kind of money and we've only spent 2 million last year, right? And then you look at the performances on that pitch on Saturday, how can you not say we're on a higher trajectory than you? We're on a below par season, granted, but you won't finish any more than 6-7 points above us. No chance. And you've had the best player in the league, arguably, this season in your team for 20 plus matches.
So, but I don't understand why you're comparing us to why we're getting compared, because
focusing on Saturday's game.
Hold on. Yeah, but you're telling me your trajectory is going that way, but then you're telling us that we've got everything to play for this season and you haven't. So how are you on a higher trajectory than us?
To have something to play for, and Dean Smith puts out a team that puts in that kind of performance on Saturday. If you're telling me that Dean Smith spends £80 million, he spends £80 million. How can you spend £80 million and you've got a team that goes out there and performs like that on Saturday?
In the first half, we absolutely battered you.
And what happened second half?
You battered us. So how can you say we performed like this or performed like... The thing of it is,
first half, Wolves are notorious for not playing in the first half of a game. Absolutely notorious.
Well, that's not good enough then, is it? You're not going to finish above 7th if you can't play 2 halves of football.
And have I not had the balls to put my neck on the line and call out our manager for that? I won't be happy to sit. I won't be happy to sit and let my manager spend £80 million and I'll be happy with a mid-table finish. That to me is a small club mentality.
Can I ask you a question? Do you think next season you're going to finish above 7th?
Do I think we'll finish above 7th? It very much depends on what we'll do in the transfer window. Very much depends. Everything could change.
Okay, so my question to you is then: if you spend 80 million in the summer and you don't finish 7th again, so you've not progressed for 4 years. If we have an 80 million net spend this summer, I'll guarantee you now we will finish inside the top 7. 100%. 100%. Your first 2 seasons are coming up. You spent over 80 million on both of those windows.
Net spend.
Yeah.
We had a £2 million net spend last window. You had an 80 million net spend.
No, we didn't.
Drew, you did.
No, we didn't.
Drew, you did.
We didn't.
You did. Two sources I looked at today.
If you're going to Sky Sports, two sources on the bottom, including add-ons and all of them. So if you actually look at what we've
So
actually
you're not
paid for people like-
contractually obliged to pay that sum of money.
Yeah, in 5
There you
years'
go
time, 'cause
then.
half of it-
So it's a
half
spend
the
of the club,
time-
isn't it? It's money that the
Listen.
club is committed to spending.
So at the end of the year, when you put your accounts in and it says 50 million rather than Dale Nichols is 80 million, it's not the right sum.
So
It's a different sum.
Talksport reported
Oh, fucking talk
74.16
shite.
reported
Mate, do me a favour.
74.16 million
Do me a
pounds
favour.
net spend for Aston Villa last summer. And let's just figures aside, we know that Villa have put a hell of a lot of a massive investment into this. How much longer can you sustain that level of spending before achievements have to come into it? Before you've got to get into Europe? Before Jack Grealish isn't sold? Because he will be
I
sold.
know what Dale's saying there. I think that at the minute, it's Dean Smith out. That's a joke. But I can see what Dale's saying, where if you keep spending this and only get 10th and 10th and 10th, then it's just not good.
How can only three teams this season spent more than Villa in the transfer window? Leeds was one of them, and they've just come up from the Championship, so they've had to spend that kind of money to improve their squad.
Who will go above you tonight?
Who've had to spend that kind of money to sustain themselves in the Premier League and have achieved a mid-table finish. And the other two teams are sat in the top 4 of the Premier League. And
also,
Chelsea
last season,
and Manchester City.
But this is the thing, right? And it's so easy to kind of look at someone else and go, that's what he's doing. But you don't understand what's going on in our club because you don't support us. You don't understand. So when we came up, we had 10 signed players. We had to spend that money. So the first season was always a write-off. So the second season, we came up, and I don't think on normal years, 80 million for a Premier League side, if you're saying 80 million, is that much of a spending. And then this summer,
88 million net is a big spend.
Yeah, but not in normal years. I'd say at least 7 or 8 teams spend that in a normal year. Now, we're in our second year in the Premier League when 4 or 5 years ago, our club was rotten to the core. So we've had to, we've still got people like Henry Lansbury on our books. So we haven't cleared the debts completely yet. So, with the greatest respect, I understand where you're coming from. There has been a lot of money being spent on Villa, and unfortunately for you boys, and you're not going to like it, a lot of money will continue to be spent on Villa. Now, if that upsets you, that because
Disagree.
it feels like
How can you keep spending that much money and be
I don't care what you spend.
Be finishing 11th, 12th, 13th? It's just impossible.
Because that's not good for the club. That's not good for the club. If you keep spending and still getting those mid-table finishes, I think it turns on you. Like you say, we won't be happy about it. But the more you spend and the less you achieve, I am happy about it.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say to you is you keep saying that you can't keep on finishing there and spending that money. Everton do it every year. I know they've had a good season this year, but they spend at least 80 million most transfer windows and they finish 10th. Now, from my point of view, listen, take the money away from it. We're in our second year of the Premier League. If we finish 10th, I think that's remarkable. Now, I don't care what any of you say. We've had to literally spend a lot of our money coming up on rebuilding our squad. Was that squad good enough going into this season? Probably not, but you're going to probably find that maybe 5 or 6 will leave in the summer and then quality replacements will come in. Now, from my point of view, I'm positive about the Villa. Now, if you as a Wolves fan are not feeling like we're on a good trajectory or we think we spend too much money, I don't really give a shit.
Nowhere near on the same trajectory as us. Just nowhere near.
Well, clearly, because you're at 14th, aren't you? So that's... No? Okay.
Yeah, this season alone, take this season alone out of it. The fact is, I'm saying that, okay, there's been a decline this season. I've put my balls on the line and pointed out the reasons why, what I'd like to see happen on a 2 million net spend last summer, not an 80 million net spend. Trust me, if Nuno had gone and spent that kind of money, I'd be demanding a hell of a lot more. More. How can you turn in that kind of performance on a weekend and not even think to criticise the manager? It was disgraceful. You got bullied and played off the park.
I'm not a turncoat,
of that game.
I'm not a turncoat. Listen,
You've called the Smith out in the past, so come on.
Yeah, when we were 19th and we'd spent 127 million.
And now look what's happening. You've spent another 80 million.
Leeds,
you spent another 80 million, and you're still realistically not much better off, are you? You're still putting in terrible performances, and you're still sat in mid-table, barely as a one-man team. As a one-man team, if you didn't have Jack Grealish, you'd be relegated.
If
You'd
we
get
beat,
relegated
if we
now
beat
this
Newcastle,
season.
if we beat Newcastle on Friday, we go above Liverpool with 2 games in hand. I think I actually think we're all right, mate. I actually think we're all right. But listen, if you're worried about us, then we can have a chat off air and
you've got to have a look at your direct rivals. It's just healthy to look at that direct competition.
Are you looking up?
Course, but for the first time in how many years? You're saying about clubs rotten to the core. We sunk down to League One, had Dean Saunders in charge. It don't get any worse than that, mate.
You're back, mate. You can't tell me you're on a better trajectory than me when you.
I think 100% we are. 100% we are. We're way more established. We're not clinging on. We're not clinging on. Our whole squad is so much better. The quality in pretty much all 3 positions, and we're not clinging on to the hope of if we lost a certain player, we'd be in a relegation battle, and that is what Villa are. If you lost Jack Grealish, go down.
We played you on the weekend with arguably our 2 best players out in cash.
So did Walter.
So did we.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is, like, that still didn't beat us. And you're telling me that we're a relegation side with a much better squad, a much better ethos, a much better this and that. Why didn't you beat us then? And why haven't you beat us all? Why haven't you beat us on both occasions?
I think the performance the weekend.
Without Jimenez, you beat Chelsea. So why can't you beat little old Villa?
To be honest, if you're talking about Wolves, performance level on Saturday actually was very good second half, and we actually battered you. If some buts and stuff like that, I'll keep coming back to the point. If Villa didn't have Jack Grealish, you'd go down. You would 100%. Go down.
100%.
So is that not bad management? How exposed are you as a club right now? The fact that your star man, who will go, he will leave Villa. You lose him and you're in a relegation battle.
Okay, I'll tell you what then. Whilst we've got the pod live, I'll put £100 on you that he doesn't leave in the summer.
I'm not saying when he'll go. I'm not saying when he will go. I will say that he will go. There's no way he will stay.
Stop throwing stupid statements out then.
He can't stay at Aston Villa all his career.
Why can't he? Just because Wolves aren't a big club.
To sit in mid-table.
Hold on a second. So what? So why would you go to Liverpool at the minute? Because we could go above him on Friday night.
I'm not earmarking anywhere that he'll possibly go. He could go anywhere. He could go anywhere. Any club would go and sign him.
Yeah, but who? Tell me any club that could afford Jack Grealish.
Any club.
Man United probably could. I
think every club could.
I don't think they could, lads. I think, listen,
how much is he worth?
If he played for Everton and they were saying that he was 120, because you want him to leave Villa, all 3 of you do, you think it's an easy buy. Our owners won't let him go for what we want from him. I don't care if you think he's worth 50, if Joe Bloggs around the corner thinks he's 80 million. The kid ain't going until the owners say, You've matched our bid. Simple.
It doesn't work like that. If a player wants to go, and I know he's a Villa fan and that, but at some point he's going to want to go because Villa aren't going to be in the Champions League. He's going to want to go and win things at some point. And if a player wants to go, your club aren't going to hold him back.
So other than City, what other club at the minute are guaranteed Champions League football?
So Man United probably aren't.
I don't think they are.
Whether you guarantee Champions League
other than the weekend, Man United was sleepwalking to come out of 4th.
We're talking across Europe as well, though. We're talking Real Madrid. We're talking Bayern Munich. We're talking PSG.
Listen, I'm sorry.
We're talking Juventus.
Anything out of the Premier League, mate, I can't have an opinion off you because you don't watch it. You don't understand what they're going. Barcelona are £2 billion in debt.
Did I mention
Madrid? But I'm just saying outside of Europe, so I'm just going to rule out some clubs. Real Madrid have proved this year that they can't afford players. Barcelona have proved they can't afford players. Juventus have proved that they've got to sell to buy. You think
if Real Madrid and Barcelona, you think if those caliber of clubs can't fund a transfer for Jack Grealish, come on,
Well,
Come
if you're saying
on.
his name like that, then it's as if he's a throwaway player, like for Jack Grealish.
No, not
It's embarrassing,
necessarily, not
mate.
necessarily a throwaway
Mate,
player, but he's
you're
not
coming off a
exactly
bit
got the
bitter,
global.
mate.
He's
You're
not
coming
got
off a bit
global.
bitter.
He's not got global appeal. Has he like like a Neymar or a Kylian Mbappe? He hasn't got global appeal like that. So to a club like Barcelona, they're not going to have to come in. They would be able to sign Jack Grealish for less than Manchester United would, and that's a fact. Barcelona and Real Madrid wouldn't have to pay as much.
No, they wouldn't. No, they wouldn't.
They wouldn't, because he's outside of England for starters, so he's less known. To the demand on that club to sign him would be a hell of a lot less than like a Man United if they were linked with him. But the lure of a Barcelona or a Real Madrid would certainly turn Jack's head. So you weigh all that up together, and they wouldn't have to pay as much to get him.
I actually don't think they can afford him. Though I do think Spanish football is in turmoil. Like, and I think they're going to have to offload players before they do anything.
That doesn't fit that Dale's agenda.
If we could be speaking about any player here, like why wouldn't you be able to afford Jack Grealish? You know what I mean? If you're looking at 100 mil, teams pay 100 mil.
You're looking at more than 100 mil
all the time now.
I've just saw today that Declan Rice is valued at 100 million. I'm sorry.
It's David Moyes just playing mind games, that is. It's basically trying to ward off anyone trying to come in and sign him and putting out
there football's
outrageous.
No, Dale, that football isn't a buyer's market anymore. It's a seller's. So in let's face it, realistically, Man U should have got Maguire for 40 million. Leicester said it's 80 or walk away. So that's what they had to do. They had to pay for him. It took them 2 transfer windows to save that money up.
Yeah,
that's Harry Maguire at 80 million. Now, do you think, personally speaking, Man U is probably the most likely destination? Would you all agree?
Yeah.
In England,
Man U need far more players than a right or a left winger. They need £100 million striker, in my opinion. And let's face it, if they're not going balls out to go and get Haaland, that's the player that they need. They don't need another Jack Grealish. He's not going to go and play on the left to take over Rashford. He's not going to go and play on the right to stunt people's growth on the right. And he's not going to replace Bruno. Man United need another centre-back and another striker. So that's his likely destination.
So
I think the fact that he not snubbed Man U, because I don't think they put a realistic offer in the summer, but the fact that he went and signed a 5-year deal, I think shows to Man U that, it's one of them ones. Unless you're blown away by signing for Man U, they're not just going to keep on hanging around hoping that you change your mind. They're too big of a club to do that.
So given your net spend then, £80 million or 75 or 70, depending on what you want to believe, right? You're agreeing that if Jack Grealish didn't play for your team, you would be relegation battling team?
I don't think we'd be relegation, but I think we would be about 15th.
I think the blame.
I think there's more quality. I think there's more quality in Martinez, Konsa, Mings. I think we don't concede very many goals. Jack Grealish is in a part of 14 clean sheets this season, or 13 clean sheets, whatever we've got. I think the middle of the park, we've got a lot of quality. We lose obviously a hell of a lot when you take Grealish out of that team. But I think there's enough quality in that team now that we wouldn't be the third worst team in the league. Simple as that. I think even without Grealish, I think we'd be better than Sheffield United this year.
Better than us. Yeah, you'd be better
than West Brom. I still think we'd be better than Newcastle. I think we'd be better than Brighton. So I think 14th, 15th would be about where we'd be.
So
but if we didn't have Jack Grealish, that means that we've sold him, and that would have put our net spend at probably about positive 30 million.
110 million for Grealish. Right. Okay, then. So moving on, as promised, one of the items that we did suggest to discuss earlier on was the greatest Premier League champions given their seasonal accomplishments. What's everyone's thoughts? Who would you all put forward? Some of the shortlist that we kind of put together within the chat was Man United 99 treble winners, the Invincibles, Chelsea's 2004-5 with the defensive record of 15 goals conceded, which I think is the joint lowest in top flight history, and it's the joint lowest over a 38-game season ever. Jose probably revolutionised football. The Man United double winners of 2008 of the Champions League and the Premier League. The City Centurions, the City first domestic treble, the Leicester Miracle Workers, and even down to Liverpool last season, 99 points. So what's everyone's thoughts and what's everyone's opinions?
If the question is best Premier League winners, then it's obviously Man City because they got the most points.
The question is the Premier League team and their respective accomplishments that season. So to back it up...
So necessarily, they didn't really have to win the Premier League to be the best because they could have won the Champions League, the FA Cup and the Carling Cup or the League Cup.
The qualifying criteria is you had to have won the league that season. The best ever Premier League champions given their season accomplishments.
Probably the Man City team a couple of years ago for me. I don't know. I think it's a really tough question, actually. I think you've got to discount Leicester because I don't think it was actually a tremendous Leicester team, was it? It was a poor Premier League, really, when you look at it. I think it's probably the Man City team, the Man United team around the era of, I think you had Ronaldo, Tevez, Rooney. That team was really good as well. I don't think that gets enough credit. And then the Invincibles, I mean, they were invincible, weren't they? So surely that's a big thing against
the Invincibles were... This might sound controversial, but they were never really that good.
Wow.
I think they were good.
Wow. Stupid as it sounds,
mate.
They weren't that good.
I've kind of avoided it.
I'll tell you something. I thought that I'd have to be digging through pretty much mine and Drew's back and forth just for our headline, but I think we've just got it there. I think we've just got it.
Invincibles weren't that good. So I've gone for the best ever. I've gone for the Man U 1999, just purely because obviously they've won the league. Granted, it was only by 1 point. It wasn't a hugely massive points of 78 to win it. The FA Cup, they had a really tough run as well. They played Liverpool, Chelsea and Arsenal in that FA Cup run. And, they played Inter, Juve and Bayern in that Champions League run as well. And I think that is just ridiculous. Like, I don't think something like that, I say won't happen again, but then I'm looking at the City team. I think it possibly could, but I just think just due to the fact that they've gone balls out on every single competition, and I think it's phenomenal what they've done. To be fair, but I'll give you my thoughts on second and third afterwards.
My only caveat to that is I don't think the Premier League was as strong back then. I think you had Man United or Arsenal, and that was it. You had Blackburn win it. Was it 94, 95, 95, 96? But I think it was. You didn't have your City spending a load of cash. Chelsea.
I think Liverpool come second though that year.
But I don't think there was as many teams now that are actually Chelsea have been good since the Abramovich takeover. They've spent a load of money. Man City have emerged since then. Yeah. Liverpool have been good. So I just don't think the quality of Premier League team was probably as much.
It was always the top four, wasn't it, rather than the top six?
But that was an unbelievable.
The big
team.
Six, yeah.
I agree. To win the Champions League and the manner they did was unbelievable.
I mean, the City. You're talking the City Centurions or the first domestic treble?
Centurions, I think.
See, I don't think that's even in my top three.
I think it's an incredible achievement. I think it's an incredible achievement. But for me, the Invincibles is a better achievement than 100 points.
But I'd again go to the fact that I don't think the league was that strong.
38 games unbeaten.
Listen,
it's never been done before, and it's never been done since. You can't say that was the weakest ever.
Again either.
You can't say that was the weakest ever Premier League season. So to suggest that the league wasn't that strong then, well, no one else has done it.
No, because the league's got stronger.
But then again, no one else has done 100 points. But I just think that the way that the game's played now in an attacking style, and especially the way that City play the game and the blow teams off the park, to go out there and win consecutive games and games like on a regular basis, I think they strung together 18 wins, didn't they, at one point, which is a joint record of Liverpool.
Was there quite a few draws in that season, though?
Arsenal.
But for me, they may have drew a lot of games, but they never lost.
Yeah, but to not lose a game, right, and only finish on 90 points. Come on, it's a great achievement. Obviously, it's unbelievable. We'll never see it again. But were they that good? I don't think they were.
But again, I mean, this is why I don't think the Centurions is because like this season just gone. Liverpool could have quite easily done that with one more win. Like that they lost. I think they lost to Watford at the end of the season, and it could have been done. What,
It doesn't
102?
matter though. It doesn't matter because they didn't. It's like
No, I
saying
get it. I know what
they'd
you're
have won
saying.
one
I
or
know what
two
you're
more
saying,
games.
but no one's ever really come close to doing the unbeaten, have they? That's why for me it's second.
A couple of teams have lost once, didn't they? I think Liverpool actually lost once when they come second to City a couple of seasons ago. They only lost once, and that was actually away at City. City won the last 14 games and won the league on 98 points. Liverpool's 97. I think Chelsea in the 04-05 season, they only lost one game away at City. Robinho, I think, scored that. And I think Man United may have lost once, maybe, I think, in one of the seasons, but they've never typically gone to sort of, well into the 30s of the games, and the losses come then. The loss really has always come at the latest, I think about 25, 26 games. So I think what Arsenal achieved was just unprecedented, and it won't be matched. It never has been done before. For me, I just think that it's the greatest achievement in Premier League history. I know that on the domestics, and I think actually that season, did Chelsea knock them out of the Champions League as well? Was it the Wainbridge goal that knocked them out the Champions League that season? So yeah, you could point to the fact that on the trophy side of things, they didn't really match what they probably should have done, and so for that reason, the treble winners would come second for me. But I actually think that Manchester United's team in 2008 was better. The second Champions League for Ferguson, but what Drew said, the run into Milan, I mean, those Italian teams then, the late 90s, they were absolutely formidable. Inter, Juventus, beat them both. Bayern in the final, who were, they were what they were. They just had experience throughout the team, and they had established internationals all over the park. And you know what? One of the forgotten things, and I'm glad you've mentioned it, Drew, is that FA Cup run as well. And the FA Cup at that time was taken a hell of a lot more serious than what it is now.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Can I just say, like, sorry, Drew, if that Arsenal Invincibles were to play that City team, City beat them. City beat them all day.
I don't know.
City lost to Man U.
Exactly. Every team's got their flaws, but I just think that with City,
one game I'm talking about.
City for me,
the league winning City team.
No, I know what you mean.
As much as I love Pep,
that's exactly what Sam's just said. The league is a lot stronger now, and that's why I just don't think it will ever happen again. But probably for good reason, because it used to be called the big four, whereas now it's the big six, isn't it? Like, and soon it could be the big eight if more money keeps getting thrown at the Premier League. Just where does it stop? Do you know what I mean? And it will continue to get stronger and stronger.
I think with City is that under Pep Guardiola, I think they're just screaming out for that elite win, isn't they? That like proper elite level win. I know they beat Real Madrid, I think, in the Champions League. Was it last year or the year before?
Jesus scored, didn't it?
But obviously that was a shadow of the team that won 3 on the spin. They're just screaming out for that memorable night. You know what I mean? You look at your Man United over the years, and you think about some of the accomplishments that they've achieved in Europe, and especially Liverpool pretty much speaks to themselves. Chelsea have obviously gone and won it. I think for City to sort of throw their hat into the ring, that we spoke before that they need to win a Champions League sooner rather than later. But again, Arsenal made a final when they were pretty much a shadow of themselves, but it was still, the leftovers of the Invincibles team is what you could call it. And we'd all agree that, some of the people here put some of the spine of that team in the Premier League all-time 11 in Patrick Vieira and Thierry Henry.
Yeah. I mean, from my point of view, I actually put third City 2019 because I think it looked like they went for more. They went for the league. They obviously did the FA Cup and the League Cup, and they got to the quarterfinals of the Champions League, and I think they were unlucky. And I actually think
Liverpool won't it beat them.
Yeah, Liverpool beat them, but I actually think that City won't have.
That was Tottenham.
I might well be wrong, but I don't think that City will have a better chance than this season to do the quadruple, because they've got the league sewn up now. The two cups are very reachable. And I know what you're saying, but
I wonder if that result has an effect on them, though. That Man United result.
They do, man. I
I
don't think they do.
I think it will.
They've got Southampton in the week.
I'm not saying it'll change the course of the league. The league's done. I think that'll knock confidence a little bit. I do. I think you'd have gone into a couple more games playing like maybe second team with the sole focus on the Champions League, but I don't think you'll do that anymore.
It'll be in the back of these players' minds now if they do come up against Bayern Munich, because they're going to have to at some point. To win the Champions League, they're going to have to beat Bayern Munich at some point. So it's going to be in the back of these players' minds that Man United went and done a job on them. They can be beaten, and it will be in the back of these players' minds that they have had form over the past few years, some of these players, of cracking at the very, very top elite level pressure in Champions League football.
I said to you yesterday, didn't I? I don't think Sterling's a big game player at all.
No,
I think he always bottles it on the big scene. Like, he's missed so many. Like, you go back to last season's Champions League, they should have beat Lyon, shouldn't they? They should have. I think you said before that I think Lyon were the better team on the night. But going into that game, Pep got it all wrong. But Sterling missed a massive chance, didn't he? And I think he missed the chance yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, that header that you pointed out, I mean, let's face it, Sterling's technique's woeful, really. And it is woeful. But he just always, I think last season, he just had a knack of being in the right place at the right time all the time. He never scored outstanding goals, bar maybe a few sort of decent finishes. But unless he's in the right position and the ball gets bounced off his foot, he don't really score like.
Doesn't score screamers, does it?
No, not at all. And for me personally, like, does anyone know what the odds are on City getting the quadruple this year? What's the odds? Do you know?
I don't know.
I'd fancy that this season. I'd fancy that because, again, the talk is that they're going to be spending big again in the summer. Now, surely to me, that they've got to be looking at a striker. They've got to be looking at, because you look at Jesus and, he huffs and puffs, but he's not City standard. Aguero, I mean, you've seen this season and last, you can't rely on him playing the season. So I think they need to go and spend 100 million on a proper striker.
I think Aubameyang.
Aubameyang's too old. It's too old now. 31.
You say? Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
I did not realise he was that old.
After watching yesterday, there's no way they beat Bayern Munich over a two-leg tie or a one-leg tie. I just think there's the blueprint Man United do. Let's sit here.
Two legs would suit Bayern better. 2 legs would suit Bayern.
Oh, I think Bayern were beaten by a few goals, though, if I'm honest, after watching that. And I like that City team, but they just look a bit naive, don't they? Like you say, against the Man United aren't really that good, to be honest. They made Martial look like an absolute world beater yesterday.
So anyway,
like you said, everyone's allowed a bad game, but they're the games that matter, aren't they, against your rivals, when you need to get up for it, when you are 10 points clear of the league and it's comfortable, and they have still got that soft underbelly that they get roll over and we'll give you a tickle. Do you know what I mean? And I think sometimes that that we see that more exposed in the Champions League.
So anyway, final votes then. Who are we all going for?
City.
Man U 99.
City.
I actually think, looking at it, the Man United 07-08 team is probably the best team that's ever played in the league.
I mean, I'm going the Invincibles personally. So we've got a 4-way split. So for all you watchers, pop your comments in the section below. I'd love to hear your feedback and who you thought was the greatest Premier League champions by seasonal accomplishments. Final item of the evening. Most underrated player in the league. So before we all sort of got delving into stats, I just want one name.
I've got no stats, but I've got 3 names. I don't know which one to choose. I tell you what, you 3 go first.
Giroud.
He's one of mine.
John Stones.
Giroud was one that I tinkered with, but I think off air we quickly spoke, didn't we, Drew? And I think one of the things is that it's been highlighted a little bit more in recent times with Giroud. But I definitely would have agreed 1.5, 2 seasons ago, certainly. But I think now he's getting the appreciation he deserves. I The one
I
player,
don't think he is.
the one player I am
He
actually
doesn't
gonna
play.
say, and I'm going to prepare for some more bullets. And he's just been mentioned, and that's Anthony Martial.
Oh, for
Oh,
God's
I
sake.
can't have that.
Get
one.
out of here.
That's
I
Anthony
can't have
Martial
that.
for me.
God.
And the reason
There's your
for it-
headline. There's your headline.
I can't have that.
My God.
Now,
That's a
Martial,
shocker.
Martial,
Stinks.
and I ain't
What are you
necessarily saying that he's going out there and he's ripping games up on a regular basis, and even that his performance level is that high. I'm basically saying that what you've got with Martial is a player with incredible talent and a player who can win a game at any point, and he's so underestimated. And
Can't.
he
'cause
doesn't-
Can't put
No.
the ball in the net, man.
Just-
no,
So
I
can have a
completely
Morris-
understand.
have
I
a
ain't
Morris-
saying that he's gone out there and he's proved it. I ain't saying that he's gone out there and he's proved it. But what I am saying is that he's so underestimated, and that's what he should be doing, and that's what he could be doing. And I think that with the right coach beneath him, they could unlock so much potential in this player.
Yeah, but unlock the
Isn't Jesse
potential.
Lingard, and I feel bad for Jesse Lingard for saying that.
I've got a slight controversial one actually. I think who also plays for United. Go easy on me, Fred.
I love Fred. I said to Dale the other day, Fred. I love Fred.
Oh, that's all right then. Because he
He's
was
too
shit, weren't he? But
He's-
he's settled
He's
down.
same as John Stones. He's really expensive though, wasn't he? Like really. So you kind of got to expect that from him.
Suppose, yeah. I don't think with your John Stone shout, I think this season he's getting the recognition he deserves.
Yeah, I
He
agree.
is.
That's why I didn't.
And he's
have
also
him.
scored the same amount of goals as Martial this season. So
But that's just what I'm saying. I ain't saying that Martial's going out there tearing up on a weekly basis. I'll openly admit he's been very, very poor, and he hasn't justified anywhere near the price tag that Man United have paid for him. But with the right coaching, there is so much potential in that player. He could be world class. If
see, I
his
don't think you
potential
understand
is
what
phenomenal. His
I don't
potential
think
is
you understand
phenomenal.
what underestimated means, because it means someone who's absolutely playing so well, but she's not getting applauded. He's not
Yeah.
doing either. He's
Yeah,
not playing well,
there's
and he's
one
not
good
getting.
game in
He's
10.
played one good game against City. Fantastic. I mean, granted, two of the best centre halves in the league. So, you know, maybe you are right. He has got that, but his attitude absolutely stinks. If you've got to run the length of his body, you don't do it. You know, I don't think he's a great finisher. I don't.
He's awful
He's,
finisher, man.
he gets his legs tangled up in the box and gets a lot of penalties, but I don't know
I
what
think
else he
what you're on
offers.
about, Dale, is potential. Like he's not
Yeah.
good. You can't say that he's good and under. Like Drew hit the nail on the head. It's about a good player who doesn't get the applaud. It's like the likes of
Giroud.
He can get to a
Kovacic,
level.
he's good as well.
He can get to a level, is what I'm saying with Martial, is that he can get to a level of play where
Mhm.
he's borderline unplayable.
so
He's
can
borderline
everyone, like
unplayable.
Sam said.
No,
so
they
can Neville
can't.
Morrison.
No, they can't. They can't.
Well,
I'm
I
stunned.
disagree.
I'm
I'm
stunned. with
stunned.
that.
I thought you were going to come out with Fred when you said him.
I actually thought you were going to say
Luke.
Luke. I thought you were going to get Luke Shaw, and I was.
He's
happy with Luke
rated.
Shaw.
He's rated
Yeah,
now.
but
Luke
He
Shaw.
is,
now,
but the last
yeah.
couple of seasons, like if again a season ago,
I don't think he was underrated a couple of seasons ago. I think he was shit.
The second
Now
name,
I
he's
to
can't
be
good.
argue with
honest,
that.
the
So,
second name on my list, the second name on my list was Son.
Yeah. Son's a
he's
good
not
player.
underrated, mate.
But
He's-
Again, it's the same with
again,
Giroud, isn't it? The penny's dropped a little bit over the past year to
I
18
don't know,
months,
man.
where like people
I
have
think
started
everyone's
to
known about Son
appreciate.
for seasons.
Nah,
The thing is with-
go back 12 months.
the
There's
thing is
no
with
way
Giroud,
you get the
right?
credibility he gets now. No
He's a
way.
magician. He's a magician.
Giroud's still underrated because he doesn't play him much, and he's still got Werner and Tammy Abraham getting games over him.
Over
I think
him.
Giroud is good enough to be a starter for most teams
Oh,
in the
no, I
league.
disagree with that. He doesn't score enough goals.
Yeah, but what we're saying about it is that like teams will bring in a big hitter, but it always seems to go back to being Giroud because it's like
But Chelsea
they're
ain't
not
had a
better
big-
than him.
Chelsea ain't had a
Yeah,
big
he gets him
striker
out the
since
shit.
Diego Costa, have they? I don't think.
Yeah, but they haven't. But like, let's face it, Tammy Abraham's what in this current market, and I know Dale's going to shit himself here, but he's a £50 million
No,
player
he's
in this
not.
current market.
No,
he
he's
is.
not.
He
He's
finished
not.
just Chelsea's top goal scorer last season.
There's a reason for that. 'Cause Chelsea were crap.
I don't know about that, mate.
They didn't spend any money last season. They had a transfer embargo.
They still finished what, top four?
They had to play Tammy Abraham. They had no choice. Tammy Abraham is not a good striker, man.
He's not good for Chelsea.
It's not worth more than
He's not
Jota
good for
went for.
Chelsea.
In this current
I think
market, being an English
25 million
striker
tops.
who plays for England, I mean, it's difficult because I want to take your opinion seriously, but you told me you don't rate Rooney. So it's difficult. It really is. And for me, like,
I've never said I don't rate Rooney.
you did. You said he's majorly overrated.
He's overrated. Don't mean I don't rate him. I just think he's overrated.
Okay, fair enough then. Fair enough. But yeah, for me, I think Oliver Giroud's a great shout. I really do.
I've got another one. Wilfred Ndidi, Leicester.
Again, I think he's getting
Rated.
plaudits now.
Rated.
What a player! What a player! But last season, yeah, I think arguably he's one of the best defensive midfielders in the world now.
Yeah,
Absolutely, yeah.
Rand's probably underrated.
Absolutely, certainly one of the best in this
Kasper
division.
Schmeichel.
Kasper Schmeichel's underrated.
Dale
I think he's a
hates
good
him.
goal. I think he's a
No,
great
I
goalkeeper.
don't. I don't hate him. I don't hate him. I just don't put him in like majorly high regard. I just don't. Like I wouldn't personally put him in the top 4 goalkeepers in the league. I wouldn't. Personally, I wouldn't. I think he's absolutely on the fringe, isn't he? Absolutely on the fringe. Well, it's hard to put someone on the spot like that, but I know that people will slate Alisson. But at the end of the day, he's a Golden Glove winner. He's won the FIFA Best Award. He's won a Champions League. He's won a Premier League. He's won the UEFA Best Keeper Award. You don't win those kind of awards if you're some sort of pony. So I would say that the 2 Brazilians are certainly better, and no doubt about that for me.
Martinez third.
Martinez is on par with Kasper Schmeichel for me. I think Kasper Schmeichel's done more. He's won a Premier League.
I think if Martinez has another season like he's had this year, then he goes above him. But I agree, you need to do it at a consistent level.
Listen, I rate Martinez
because again,
as well.
I didn't like Nick Pope come second last season for Golden Glove.
I think he did. Yeah, I think Edison won it on the last game.
But then you look at him this season, and then I personally think the goal against the weekend, the Arsenal goal, was his fault because I think it was really poor keeping. So, like you say, he's got to keep it at a consistent level.
Keeper's always got a mistake. Go on.
Has Pickford regained his number 1 spot for England with his recent performances?
I don't think he's ever lost it. I think he's never lost it.
I think he hasn't, but I think he's cemented it. And I don't know. I think there's less argument now. And I don't really like Jordan Pickford, but I think he's turned the corner.
See, I'll tell you something now, though. If Man U keep playing Dean Henderson,
dropped a clanger in the under-21s a few years ago. You can't put him in a major tournament like as a first-choice keeper without any experience. I don't think.
Oh, mate, if you're talking about clangers, Pickford's done about 10 this season.
Never for England, though, I see. Never.
No, I get that. I will accept that. To be fair, he's never let England down. But you just know what he's just a lunatic.
He
is, but like I think my concern is Pope might be better, but you can't put someone in on the major tournament that's never played a major tournament.
I think you know what? If you could have like Pope's height and handling ability and Pickford's kicking, you've got the perfect keeper. But unfortunately, Pope's kick is awful and Pickford's about 6 foot, which for a keeper's not. It's a decent size, but for a keeper, it's what I think Shay Given was 6 foot, wasn't he? And potentially the reason why he didn't push on.
Cracking
what was your
stuff.
final question, Sam?
That was it.
That was it.
Oh.
Yeah, the big Pickford. I think he's probably, as Dale says, he probably never really lost his spot. I think he's probably cemented Southgate's thinking now. I don't think there'd be much opinion otherwise against it now. I don't think you can give much criticism.
I'm calling this now, right? Pickford mistake that cost England.
I'm calling this now. Man City quadruple.
Let's all make a bold shout. Go on,
West
Dale.
Brom win the championship next year.
I like it. Dale, what you got? Wolves going to finish above Villa.
That's what I was going to say. It's going to be a Wolves Villa thing.
Grealish goes in the summer.
Put £100 bet on with me then. You can't believe in it if you don't want to bet on it.
That's not how it works.
It is.
Fair. You get better odds at bookies.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Just do a tenner, just for fun, just for the pod.
£10.
Go on.
That's not how it works. We're all coming out with shouts. Hang on, we're all coming out with outrageous shouts, and so to speak. Outrageous shouts and all this. So we're all putting one up, and I'm not backing anyone to a corner saying put your money where your mouth is. It is what it is, isn't it?
I'll send a screenshot at the end of this. When I find it, Man City do the quadruple and I'll put a tenner on it. You find Grealish to leave in the summer, put tenner on it.
I can't have a bet on mine.
I can't because we're not down yet, even though we are.
Lads, it's been an absolute pleasure. So yeah, I think we'll be back later on this week. I hope you've all enjoyed. And as always, please like and subscribe.